From days of long ago comes a legend.
You have walked into the room of Fireback Radio. You can find us online at firebackradio.com. And of course, I'm your host, Brother Marquise. This is Brother Marquise, and you are in the room of Fireback Radio. Thank you, each and every one of you, for showing up today. I already know. You guys didn't know what I look like. That's because I don't do these videos, but I'm going to start, and this is the first one. So get used to this beautiful, illustrious space as I will take you on a journey far and wide of thought and plenty of prayer on the side. So today, let's get right into it. Today, I got a special guest for y'all, Alycia Washington. And what we are going to talk about, we're going to talk about family. We're going to talk about mothers, fathers. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about emotional damage. We're going to talk about all of that with Alycia. And just take a listen. Alycia, this is what she does. She aids mothers in building confidence, releasing guilt, and getting unstuck. Her motherhood journey from guilt to empowerment led her to help other moms break free. And she learned how to release the myths and mistakes that kept moms mentally stuck. She chronicles her journey through motherhood in a oh my gosh, I'm excited, y'all, in the Amazon bestseller. And that's called Girl, Your Brand is a Big Deal anthology. She is on a mission to dispel debilitating mom myths and mistakes through her signature 90-day group coaching program called Bloom. Mothers Transforming Their Lives in 90 Days. She is based in Indianapolis, and she is married, of course she is, and has 2 beautiful boys. Okay, y'all, I gotta just tell you, that's my wife. I'm busted. That's my wife. Here she is, the illustrious Alycia Washington. Hello, Mrs. Washington. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Washington. I'm fine, and how are you?
I'm actually fantastic. Thank you for coming on the podcast today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. The first thing that I wanted to ask you was what caught my attention about this was what brought you to the point to where you realized that you needed some help?
I think when I realized why I couldn't answer my husband's question of he used to bother me, or I shouldn't say bother me, but he used to ask me this question. He used to ask me what's my dream? And it used to annoy me because I didn't have an answer. And my saying that I didn't have an answer would annoy you because you're like, what do you mean you don't have an answer? What do you want to do? What do you dream about? And in coming to the grip that realizing why it annoyed me so much was because I really just didn't have an answer and I was stuck. I couldn't get past finding an answer. I didn't know how to find that answer anymore. And that's when I really realized I was stuck mentally, like just kind of blocked, and that I had checked out in a lot of different areas.
What do you mean? What do you mean by checked out?
I was just going through the motions. I was your wife, I was the boys' mom, and I was just going through the motions. I was giving what I had left to everyone else, but I was really running low. And the things that I used to do to kind of fill my cup wasn't filling it quick enough, full enough, and I didn't really have much to give anymore.
That's kind of serious. Being, I mean, really, because just from what I have observed is that a lot of times parents can really lose themselves in parenting. And I think that's pretty much what you were saying. Parents will lose themselves just being a parent. And I did notice, and one of the reasons why I would ask those questions was because of that. Because I knew that you were there, but you weren't there. And I was that was for me, that was a mechanism to try to shake you awake, because I knew that my wife had potential, massive potential. And on the husband side of it, it was frustrating because I'm married to a gold mine. I'm married to somebody with so much freaking potential, and it was hard to be able to try to communicate without breaking anything. And so knowing what I know now, would I've done anything differently? Probably. I would have done a lot differently, but I'm just glad that um, I have a wife now who broke herself and figured it out. I want to know, like, what was the process? What was the full process of you breaking into the place where you are now?
Couple of things. One, I had to kind of rediscover myself, kind of figure out who I am without everybody else. Like, I know who I am as a wife and as a mom, but I had forgotten who I was as Alycia. So simple stuff like figuring out what I liked now, because things have changed. I've changed, I've grown, I've gotten older, I've had more experiences. I'm in this parent thing and this wife thing. So they're all kind of lessons that, you learn through that process. But I had to figure out who I was, what I liked, what I wanted to do, what my strengths were now, because I had given up a lot of me to become a stay-at-home mom. And I always say I went in kind of bottles blazing because I had had such a rough start, in the beginning of not knowing or not thinking I deserved to be a mom. And then having the boys and having such rough pregnancies. And now I'm all in as a stay-at-home mom and trying to figure out, well, what does that look like? Um, what because I've never, you know, the people that I knew that were stay-at-home moms, I had like one aunt who I've never known her to work. But I never thought I was like her. So what does this look like being a stay-at-home mom? What does this look like just navigating? I had two littles 3 years apart, and my husband's a truck driver. So what does that look like? And how do I do this thing? So I had a lot of learning. I think, and all moms do. None of us know what to do with that first kid, like really. And then the second one comes along, and you think you got it, and then that's a whole different kid. So you got to learn that kid all over again. So I had to learn me all over again. And that took some journaling, that took some kind of figuring out simple stuff like, well, what what do I like? What's my style now? Because I had given up a lot. Like, I'd given up my career, I had given up me. Now that I'm at home, I don't have to be I don't have to, necessarily dress cute, because what's the point? Because somebody is going to touch me with something on their hands, and now whatever I'm wearing is now stained. So I'm not going to be able to wear that. So why wear cute stuff anymore? I had stopped wearing jewelry. For me, a big thing was earrings and a watch. I always had that. And then after having these two rambunctious, lively kids, I stopped wearing jewelry because there was always somebody pulling on me, and that just became dangerous. Or there were balls flying, or something flying in the air, a block. I'm stepping on something happening where it became dangerous to even wear jewelry around these kids. And so I stopped. And then somewhere in that, I realized, as I was kind of rediscovering myself, that I really had stopped everything about who Alycia was. And the simple fact of buying a pair of earrings had become crucial for me. In an earlier, when the boys were little, I had a mentor, and she was really kind of doing what I'm trying to do now, but on a smaller scale. She would tell me how much I needed to take care of myself. Um, and and one of her goals for me was to buy a pair of earrings. And this was in that season where I didn't buy anything for myself. Everything, we're one income, so I'm always conscious of the budget. And so, if it wasn't for the boys or for the house, then I generally didn't do anything for myself. And so her thing was just go and buy a pair of earrings, buy a pair of $5 earrings. And that would send me, I don't think I did that. I don't think I ever did that. Like, when we would meet, and she would tell me ask me if I did my homework. It was like, see what had happened. Somebody needed this. I always had an excuse. To do something for someone else and not for me.
So when you lost yourself, does that mean that you didn't care about yourself?
It wasn't that I didn't care. It was that I had spent so much energy concentrating on everybody else that I just kind of forgot about me. And I think that happens a lot with most moms. It's not that our priorities change. We with all parents, or most parents, I should say, good parents, I'll throw that out there. We want to do the best for our kids, and we want to do the best for our family unit. And so when you go all in and you just are concentrating, it goes into one of the myths that I am trying to break, or help moms break, and that kids come first. Clutch the pearls. I know some people are going to have a hard time with that one.
Right.
But kids are our priority. They're our love. We want the best. We want to give them all that we can to help them launch into the world with love and respect and be all that they can be. But they don't come first. And when we put them first in everything, and it's hard, and it's hard not to think everything is about them.
So wait a minute. So, speaking for those who aren't here, what you mean by don't put the kids first? I mean, what you talking about? How you gonna come over here and talk this smack about you don't put your kids first? What kind of weed are you smoking, sis? I mean, break it down for me. Make them, for the people in the back, make them understand.
First of all, it's biblical. There's a biblical order to things. Christ, God, wife, kids. They are not first. my covenant with my husband comes first, and it trickles down to the boys. And what we forget, and even if you're a single mom, your covenant is with Christ. Well, if you're a believer. If you're not, you still come before the kids. And I'm not saying that everything, you don't make decisions that have the kids in mind, that you don't consider, because our goal as parents is to love and launch the kids, right? We
Love,
can't
love and launch.
love and launch. We can't, but if we put them, if they think the sun revolves around them, then that's putting them first in everything, and all their wishes and dreams, and making all of that the first order of business, then they think that they should be the first order of business in everything. They think the world should revolve around them, and it does not. And so when they launch into the world on their own, if they have that mindset that they should come first, they're screwed.
Spoiled brats.
The spoiled brats, but they also are going to have a hard time with relationships, because they're not going to understand that relationships are a give and take. It's not all about you. It's about what you bring to the table and what the other person brings to the table, and how you can build together. And then when we make everything around them, then our love becomes, we become martyrs for loving our kids, because we want to, all of us dies to them. And what happens when we make everything about them and show, we want to martyr our love for them, our relationships, our marriages, our friendships, our careers, everything takes a hit, because now the focus is on this kid who thinks everything revolves around them. And so we make everything about them, and so that impacts our relationships, our love relationships, because we don't have the time or energy now, or the focus. You barely can, how can you focus on someone else if you can barely focus on you, because all your focus and energy is on this little person?
And that's pretty serious, because I've seen that in couples, to where they'll put all their eggs in that basket. I've seen it to where parents will have the young child sleeping in the bed with them at the age of 6, 7, and 8. And that is unfortunate, because it does put a kink in a marriage situation.
And then what happens? And then what happens when they leave? Because remember, our goal is to love and launch them confidently into the world. So when they are in the world, they have a confidence that is built on, strong relationships, being able to trust and be trustworthy, all those things that we want our kids to, we want them to, the kind of adult we want them to be. But when they're gone, and we focused so much on them, and haven't taken the time to focus on inward and on our relationships, our other relationships, what do you have? What are you going to have? Now you've got to shift, right? If there's something even there to shift and to work on, and you got to figure out how to work on that. And so when I say the kids don't come first, I'm not saying that they're not a priority, but you are a priority too.
Absolutely.
As a mom and as a dad and as a couple. You have to make that a priority. And when you do, it doesn't just benefit, it's not just an inward benefit. It doesn't, when I came out of my shell and started to be bolder and really get back to who I am, it did not negatively impact my family. If anything, I think it sent a shockwave through the family, and they got excited because I was back. Now, some stuff they didn't necessarily like, but they had to get over it because I'm going to be who I am. And that means I'm going to have to set some boundaries and implement them as well, and speak up for myself and teach my, well, I didn't really have to teach my boys how to speak up for themselves because they got that Washington in them. So but we had to, and we still are trying to teach them how to do it confidently, or I guess respectfully, or empathetically, depends on which kid we're talking about.
We hope that you've enjoyed the interview with Alycia Washington. This is part 1 with Alycia. Part 2 will go into discovering oneself within the effects of trauma, and you don't want to miss that. You can find our website at www.morethanjustamom.live. And this is Brother Marquise on Fireback Radio.